So this thief spoofing hack may be particularly of use if, like me, you have lost key paranoia. Okay, so originally I thought this would have a very narrow focus. It was really for solo travellers, although actually there's a spin-off of this which may be of benefit. You may like this if you do travel with someone as well, a partner, a wife, or whatever. But I'll park that to the end, because how this came about is I met a guy a couple of years ago, solo traveller, and he had lost his keys and he was in the process of getting keys couriered up to him from his home. He's miles from home, and it just sent a little panic in my mind. I thought, crikey, what if I was to lose my keys? That's a nightmare scenario. Now, of course, the obvious thing is the day one at nursery school thing is you hide a key. You can buy these magnetic boxes; they're quite common, and you put them somewhere under your van. And I asked him, well, why didn't you hide a key? And he was paranoid that a thief would come along and find that key and a key set and nick the van. Now. So initially I was a little bit dismissive because, you know, a professional thief will get your van regardless of what you do to it. Okay, let's not delude ourselves there. What we're doing now is when we're locking up in a car park somewhere is we're just protecting against the opportunist. And the chance of an opportunist thief coming along at that time your van is exposed is remote in any case, because there are very few opportunist thieves around. But then for them to think, oh, there might be a key hidden underneath the van, is even more remote, but they might do. That was the guy's perspective. And, you know, like me, he's built his own van, it's his baby. I can understand the paranoia. If you're in that situation, this little nuance hack may give you an extra layer of comfort. It's quite simple. What you do is, you hide a key in a mag box, but you also hide a second key set in a mag box that is much easier to find. It's the one you want the thief to find, and you're probably getting it already, aren't you? They find that one, and inside there's a set of keys and a blipper, but the key of course won't open any of the locks because it's not designed for the van. So let's see if the blipper works, and when they press the blipper to see if the door unlocks, it doesn't unlock the door. Instead it does sets off an alarm. So you spoof the thief into thinking he's found the key. Of course he hasn't. He's set an alarm off, and hopefully that'll be enough to get him out of the area and run off. Okay, so how do we do it? Very simple. You don't need to be an electronics engineer. You need two little sort of PC modules. I'll take you through that now. If you can do basic wiring, you'll eat this up. So first of all, you need to buy a 443 megahertz remote control and transmitter. Now, if any of you have seen the welcome light hack I did, I got quite a lot of traction that one. People seem to like that one. I used one of those there. I'll put a link on the end of this video just in case you haven't seen it, you want to see it. Basically what this does is a remote control that operates a switch. And go on eBay and put in 433 megahertz or MHZ remote and receiver, and you'll get loads of them to come up. And what you want to do is pick one that looks pretty close to a car blipper, and a lot of them look almost exactly the same to a car or van blipper. That's the first thing you need. Okay, and you can work out what's happening here is you are then using the blipper that the guy finds to set off that remote relay, which will operate a 12-volt alarm. Now what you could do, I haven't done this, but what you could do is actually wire it up to your van horn. Okay, so it sets the horn off. Or you can have, as I've got, an external alarm. Again, just go onto eBay, search for 12-volt alarm, or 12-volt siren, 12-volt bell, all those sort of things. You'll find loads you can put in there. Just as an aside, I got a bit of criticism on one of my hacks that I didn't actually put links in for people to find this. The trouble is, eBay things run out. Okay, so it's no point. A lot of people do go onto Amazon shops and have their front shops, and they've got affiliate links, so if you buy through them they earn a bit of money, which is great. I always support them if I can, but that's just not me. So just put a search in, you will find loads of them come up. A lot of them are in China, put the UK filter on. You'll find a lot in UK. You will pay a bit more, of course, you get them from the UK. So that's the first thing you need. The second thing you need is optional, but I think it's a good idea, and that is a 12 volt timed relay, because what you don't want to happen is for this thing to be going off all the time. Okay, now in theory the thief's going to panic, he's going to press the button and turn it off, but he might not. He might just leg it. Okay, and it'll be antisocial for this thing to be going on for the next hour if you're off in the shops or hiking somewhere. So I think it's a good idea to put a 12 volt timed relay in. Again, in eBay, just type in 12 volt timed relay, you'll get loads that come up. Fine. Okay, so now you've got the 2 bits of kit. This is how you need to wire it up. Okay, let's first look at the 433 megahertz receiver. And here's an example on the screen here, sat in a little plastic box. They often come in little plastic boxes that you sit these things after you've wired them up. And generally they'll have 5 contacts. You can see there's got 5 contacts in a row. Sometimes you'll see them split out. You'll have a cluster of 3 contacts and a cluster of 2 contacts. Now what you need to do is just familiarise yourself with what you've got, because 2 of those contacts will be for the power to go in, and 3 of them will be to go out, and you choose 2 out of those 3. So let's just flip that upside down now, and you'll see the contacts labelled up. So you can see there you've got your positive and your minus. So that's quite easy. That's where the power goes in. And then you've got 3 more contacts where power goes out. NC, COM and NO. Now NC stands for normally closed. NO stands for normally open. And the common is effectively the negative. In fact, what you will need to do is to wire the minus from your power in through to that common. Okay, and then that common you also plug in the minus, or sorry, the negative of your alarm. So that leaves you with the other 2. Now for the positive on your alarm, you want to send to the normally open. So what that means is when that little module has no power going to it, it's energized, the switch is open, it's normally open, and when you put power to it, then it closes. In other words, turns on. So you want to wire up the negative of the input to the common, and then that common to the negative of your alarm, and then normally open to your alarm. And here's a little schematic of that now. Alright, so you've got the schematic of the 12 volt supply going in to the positive and the minus, and the 12 volt going out from the COM, which is wired to the negative, and the NO normally open. Now I'll put the schematic lines on the actual tabs here. You're not actually soldering because you've got those connectors on the other side. And don't forget, the one you buy might have the power in on the other side of the module, but it's exactly the same concept. Okay, so that's the actual 433 megahertz module, which your remote control will switch on. Okay, so now let's look at the timer. Now in that little diagram I sent you before, that schematic, you saw that you had the power going into your 433 megahertz module and then out to the klaxon. Well, if you put the timer in, you put the timer between the klaxon and the 433 megahertz remote control module. Okay, so the power goes out of that, the positive goes out of that and into the positive of this, the timer, and ditto with the negative. And on this one, the negative and positive input is that little green block on the left hand side there. Now just below that to the right, you'll see a little red LED that comes on when it's active, and to the right of that is that white thing is actually a potentiometer in which you set your time. Now when you buy this, there's a whole range of different time periods you can buy. It might be from 0 seconds to 5 minutes, or 0 seconds to 100 seconds. That's the sort of thing I think you need. You need something that's going to go off for about a minute max, I think, unless you really want to rip it, and then you can let it go for a couple of minutes or 3 minutes. But anyway, soon after that, the thief's either legged it or he's found a way of turning it off. So that sets the delay or the time. Now on the right hand side, you've got the 3 pins outputs. Again, it's normally open, normally closed, And on this particular one, instead of NCNO, you've got a little diagram. So the middle one will be your common. And as before, you need to run a negative connection from into that one. So you could take it from your negative input on the green block. But so in other words, put a link across. And then the top connector would set it so after the delay that you've set, it goes to normally closed. In other words, when you turn it on, nothing happens to the klaxon, and after say 60 seconds the klaxon starts going off, which is not what you want. You want the opposite, don't you? You want it to go on straight away, and after the delay it turns off. So on this particular one, you'd use the bottom two. The common is your negative, and the bottom one will be your positive. And so what happens is normally after the delay, the module adopts the protocol it's showing in the diagram. Now I hope that is clear. What I would say is have a play. So in other words, once this has got a lot of power to it, it waits a period of time before it activates the switch. Think of it like that. It waits a period of time before it activates the switch. Then it will normally be normally a closed switch or an open switch. And you want it to be the open switch because you want it to turn the klaxon off after the period of time. So that's why you use the bottom two, which shows the open switch. And it might say NO and NC just as it did on the 433 module. Hope that is clear. So now here's a schematic how I would set this one up with the 433. So there you go. Power going into the 433 remote module, and they're coming out of that into the timer, and then from out of the timer into the klaxon or siren. As I said, these modules are all basically the same concept. They may be a little bit different in layout, that sort of thing, but have a play. You know, set a little test rig up, battery going in or 12 volt going in, and you could have a little 12 volt LED light coming out, so you can try these things out. But the fact that you've made a fan, you've done your basic wiring, you'll eat this, no problem at all. And hope that it gives you some comfort. And as I said right at the very beginning, this is not a security measure. You know, the determined thief will get your van. That's the bad news. It's just give you a little bit more peace of mind if you're feeling a little bit nervous about hiding a key. Now this is targeted at the solo traveller who's not got a partner to keep a spare set of key, and who is a little bit nervous about hiding a key. Gives one layer of extra nuanced comfort. Having said that, if you are travelling with someone, you could always deploy this magnetic spoof set as well, make it a little bit easy for the thief to find, and that way he might set the alarm off and do a runner rather than trying to break in your van through forced entry. Or similarly, if you've got a very old van that hasn't got the blipper type, just a manual key, if this thief does come across this and you need to set it up somewhere he can find it but not realise he's meant to find it. We're playing with psychology here, so we don't really know what's going to happen because this has never been tested. But there again, if you do that, you might then just, rather than try force entry, try the spoof set and set the alarm off and do a runner. Anyway, I'm hoping, and I'm absolutely sure, you'll never ever have to try this out in anger. But if you want to have a go, good luck.